AI philosophy, enabling humans to establish destiny for themselves and establish a mind for AI. Kant was the last major philosopher of the Enlightenment and is regarded as one of the most influential thinkers in Western thought, following Socrates, Plato and Aristotle. Kant constructed his philosophical system through the three critiques, which respectively investigate theoretical reason, practical reason, and aesthetic judgment. Kant maintained that certain a priori truths exist prior to humanity and constitute the essence of the world, meaning essence precedes existence. Sartre held the exact opposite view, that existence precedes essence. Click the plus sign to follow this account for more wonderful content. Immanuel Kant, the founder of German classical philosophy and the final towering philosopher of the Enlightenment, ranks among the most influential Western thinkers after Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, marking the transition from traditional metaphysics to modern philosophy. Kant built his comprehensive philosophical system via the three critiques, each addressing theoretical reason, practical reason, and aesthetic judgment in turn. It should be noted that Kant's term critique, German critique, does not carry the modern connotation of criticism or negation. Derived from the Greek krinein, meaning to distinguish or judge, it denotes systematic examination, research, analysis, discrimination, and definition. In philosophical discourse in particular, the thorough inspection, dissection, and delimitation of the scope of rational faculties. 1 asterisk, critique of pure reason, times 1781. It introduces the theory of transcendental cognition. The mind organizes empirical data and generates knowledge through a priori forms of sensibility and categories of understanding. For instance, space and time are innate forms of intuition, while concepts such as causality are innate categories of the intellect. Human cognition can only reach the realm of appearances, whereas things in themselves remain unknowable. The word pure in pure reason signifies elements that do not directly yield knowledge, yet shape sensation and understanding through a priori frameworks, independent of all experience, acting as inherent modes or normative structures that make knowledge possible from empirical input. 2 asterisk, critique of practical reason, times 1788. This work addresses the fundamental questions of ethics and establishes the moral standard of the categorical imperative. Kant argued that moral conduct ought to be governed by universal laws as rigorous as the laws of mathematics and physics. He put forward the core maxim that humanity is an end in itself, never merely a means, affirming the inherent free will, dignity, and intrinsic worth of every person. 3 asterisk, critique of judgment, times 1790. It examines the rational faculty by which humans apprehend beauty. Kant defines the aesthetic experience as purposiveness without purpose. The pleasure derived from beauty is detached from any practical utility. Beauty is simultaneously universal and subjective. Objects do not possess objective aesthetic properties, yet they evoke identical delight in all subjects endowed with the capacity for aesthetic judgment. This shared universality in aesthetic response stems from common human nature and our transcendental rational constitution. Judgment serves as the mediating bridge between theoretical reason and practical reason, securing the coherence and completeness of Kant's overall philosophical system. Kant contended that the true nature of reality, things in themselves, can never be grasped by human reason. All we perceive is merely the realm of appearances. He thus divides reality into two spheres, the unknowable sphere of things in themselves and the intelligible sphere of appearances accessible to rational inquiry. Since the unknowable dimension exerts no bearing on human daily life, we only need to employ reason to comprehend appearances. God belongs to the absolute sphere of things in themselves, transcending rational and logical explanation, and therefore cannot be comprehended through human reasoning. More precisely, the world we perceive arises when things in themselves, the unadulterated true essence of reality, are filtered and structured by innate cognitive forms, comparable to viewing the world through a fixed tinted lens that reshapes all sensory input into appearances. Analogously, humans cannot intuit four-dimensional or higher-dimensional space directly, only perceiving their three-dimensional projections. This line of reasoning bears parallels with Buddhist thought. The ultimate true nature of reality is Buddha nature, while the rational faculties we use to interpret the world amount to deluded wandering thoughts, and the phenomenal world we experience corresponds to form, as referenced in the maxim form is emptiness. Note: Kant introduced the enigmatic concept of things in themselves, not to merely state that they are unknowable, but to affirm the fact that their unknowability itself is a truth we can recognize. By acknowledging their inaccessibility, we attain at least a partial conceptual understanding of them. He also clarified that although reason cannot penetrate things in themselves, they do not disrupt the orderly phenomenal world we inhabit. Within our field of appearances, reason sustains universal order, rendering Kant's worldview fundamentally optimistic. Kant's notion of the a priori is often interchangeable with innate. Human cognitive equipment includes universal mental frameworks such as space and time, which predate all empirical experience, exist independently of sensory input, structure how we experience the world, and determine our perceptual framework. Innate cognitive structures align with the self-evident axioms of rationalism and mathematical postulates. These so-called absolute a priori truths are foundational assumptions, taken as valid without proof and incapable of formal demonstration. Kant asserted that a priori essential truths predate human existence and underpin all reality, upholding the thesis that essence precedes existence. Later, in the section on existentialism, we will cover Sartre's opposing doctrine that existence precedes essence. All humans share identical innate cognitive frameworks, the same tinted lens which explains consistent shared perceptions of identical objects across individuals. This uniformity means we never perceive our filtered appearances as distorted, consistent with everyday lived experience. Kant proposed that philosophy ought to reconstruct itself following the successful methodology of natural science, advancing his famous thesis that the human mind legislates for nature. For Kant, the subjective intellect structures objective reality. His doctrine that human reason prescribes laws to nature places him within the idealist tradition. I am Wu Huaiyu, a PhD from the Chinese Academy of Sciences and a postdoctoral fellow from Peking University and the founder of AI philosophy. For more detailed information, please refer to the complete version of this book. In addition to this short video, you can also click on my avatar to view more long videos.